Modern Warfare 3 was released in 2009 and marked the end of the original Modern Warfare trilogy. It was my least played out of the three by a long way because it came out when I'd first gone to university and the internet connection was absolutely terrible in my room that year. Despite this, I still managed to unlock most of the achievements in the base game, missing just a few time consuming ones, and then on top of that a whole chunk of downloadable content. And all of my missing achievements were Spec Ops related. I managed to get everything else out of the way around release time. From the base game, I was just missing achievements for reaching wave 10 and 15 on each survival map, and for buying all items from the armory in survival mode. The survival maps are broken up into tiers, and I'd completed all but the last tier, which is unlocked at level 25. I was only 20 to start, but luckily the Spec Ops level is shared between the different modes. So my plan was to complete the DLC missions and all achievements in those, and then by the time that was all done, I would have a high enough level to come back to these survival maps and reach wave 15 on them all. And then finally, tackle all the items in the armory. Sadly, the DLC is still full priced and there's 3 map packs, so I ended up spending like £30 to do this. So in return, I ask you to like the video and subscribe if you do enjoy it. So for each Spec Ops mission in the DLC packs, there is an achievement for completing it on any difficulty, completing it on the hardest difficulty, and then another achievement for doing a miscellaneous mission-specific task. My plan was just to go through each mission on Veteran with my friend, and then go through again afterwards to mop up anything that we missed. We started from the top of the list, and first up was Black Ice, which begins with a pretty cool snowmobile chase. I'm sure for many people, just like me, this is a big throwback to riding the snowmobiles in Modern Warfare 2 as well. But yeah, it took us a few attempts to make it down. You just need to go flat out really, strafe around, and try kill enemies when you can. The rest of the mission has you fighting your way into this facility to set it to self-destruct, and then back out again to get extracted by a helicopter. Once we made it off the snowmobiles, we did the rest first try, so it's not too bad. Being able to revive in co-op obviously makes it a lot nicer. And the other achievement for this mission is to run over 13 people whilst on the snowmobile, but I decided that's something I could quite easily go back to do solo, so we moved on. Next was Negotiator, and this was a fair bit trickier. You fight your way through buildings encountering various hostage situations and try to save as many as possible. The extra achievement for this one is fairly easy to guess, and that's not allowing any hostages to die. We quickly decided the best approach was just to get it done on Veteran regardless of how many we saved, and then go back on a lower difficulty to try save everyone. We did die a lot, making our way through and learning the mission, but after about 30 minutes we managed to complete it on Veteran and grab those achievements. Then lowering the difficulty to regular, we went for the no hostage deaths run. Half the time our failed attempts were due to us shooting someone and not the enemy. We did start getting more consistent with our runs though, but we hit a wall at this one section towards the end where we couldn't fight through the enemies quick enough and someone was always executed in the background. I actually ended up looking a guide up for this section only because we were getting pretty frustrated, and it turns out the amount of enemies erupt on co-op, making it much harder, so this was another one I decided to put aside for now and come back for in the future. And boy oh boy, I did not have fun with this one, as you'll see in a bit. Following that was Kill Switch, which gives you the classic Spec Ops feel by splitting you up. One has to infiltrate and plant an EMP, whilst the other does 90% of the killing via a sniper and drone missiles from a vantage point. It's pretty straightforward for the most part. The person on the ground can just grab a riot shield and lure the targets out with a sniper, apart from a few minutes of fending for themselves inside the building. The ending section gave us a bit of trouble though. You reunite with your partner to fight through this dock area, and the game throws a few standard enemies at you, but also 2 seemingly invincible juggernauts. I haven't looked up if it's actually possible to kill these, but we had a couple of failed attempts where they just ate RPG after RPG and bullet after bullet, but then my friend had the bright idea of just running past them. So that's exactly what we did, and to my surprise completed the mission. Again, this was another one I decided to return to later for the other achievement, which was destroying all of the helicopters. And you'll see I end up doing this for most of them. Some tank gameplay came after that, and this mission is pretty straightforward. One person controls the tank whilst the other is on foot nearby and clears the barricades for them. You just slowly push through small waves of enemies, making sure to kill the enemy vehicles such as the helicopters or tanks first. There's a few RPG wielding guys too, but we just took our time and it only took a couple of attempts. Eventually we made it to this beach area at the end and got our achievements. If you manage to keep the tank health on 100%, you also get an achievement, but on veteran it seemed like a pain, so we moved on. Oh man, this next one was tough. Again, one player controls this drone and the other goes on foot. You have to work together to clear the top of the ship whilst marking and planting these beacons. Obviously on veteran you die very quickly, but also the drone doesn't take too many bullets either. We actually gave up on this one after trying for 20 minutes or so because we could tell how frustrating it was going to be, so I'll be returning to this one later on. We moved on to the spec ops called Vertigo, and this introduced us to the absolute classic enemy, the Juggernaut. Well, the Juggernaut that you have to kill and can't just run past anyway. The game throws some waves of standard gunmen at you and mixes it up with helicopters dropping off the Juggernauts in between. It's possible to kite them around a box in the mission area to easily kill them, but it's even easier if you just blow the helicopter up first before they can get dropped off. And once we'd cleared the waves, we grabbed the parachutes and jumped off to the bridge below. This last bit wasn't too bad, we just had to fight our way across the bridge through some foot soldiers and dogs. Oh, and also dodging some bombing runs from a few more helicopters. But this green smoke signalled the end, and with that, just 3 more Spec Ops missions to go on veteran. Next was a mission called Light 'em Up, and we started with one on foot collecting intel and the other circling in a helicopter above and just bombarding the place with a grenade launcher. After you collect all the intel, you move together on foot to rescue a hostage and just clear through a building, and the rest was pretty straightforward stuff, just fight your way back out through to evac helicopter. So those achievements came quickly and easily, and then we just had 2 left to go. This penultimate one sucked hard. We spent well over 1 hour on it attempting and failing, and even the successful run at the end took nearly 16 minutes. I was manning the gunship and my friend was on the ground. His job was to slowly make his way across the map and disarm these anti-air missiles and collect intel, whilst I covered against the absolute barrage of enemies. I think in total this mission throws 16 juggernauts at you, plus a horde of standard enemies. He was able to call in some care packages though, which give supplies such as an auto sentry or self revives, and those are really necessary because there's some moments where juggernauts can just spawn all around you, making it basically impossible to escape. But after he cleared the anti-air guns, collected some intel and rescued the survivor on the ground, we were finally done with it. But unfortunately that meant returning to Arctic Recon, the mission we previously gave up on. This time I had a different partner willing to suffer with me, and suffer we did, because for 1 straight hour we died over and over again, sometimes making it to the upper deck of the ship, but mostly dying in this start area, which to be honest I feel was the hardest bit to get through. After that, whichever of us was on foot could take advantage of some hiding spots whilst the drone gunned down the soldiers. We ended up switching roles a bit to break up the pain, as well as having a break to try and calm down. But once we returned, we had a successful run. My friend was planting the beacons, and upon reaching the last, we were really hoping to see the mission success screen. But no, the game has you run back through the entire route, which is now filled with enemies again. Oh, and you have a time limit. I'm so glad we managed to wing our way through this bit, because had we failed on this final part, I think our spirits may have been broken beyond repair. But with a few seconds left, we made it, and with that ticked off the final Spec Ops on Veteran achievement. With this done, we were feeling unstoppable, so went straight back in to start mopping up those miscellaneous achievements. First up was the same mission, and the goal was to clear it under 3 minutes 30, but it can be done on any difficulty, so we slapped it on regular and stormed through, beating the goal time by nearly 45 seconds. And then after that was Ironclad, which was the next one to get the achievement for finishing the tank at 100% health, and again this was on regular. We did need to restart once or twice though, because I think one time my friend died after being a bit too kamikaze on foot, and another I was too slow to kill the helicopter and it knocked off some health. Regardless, we got it done quickly and knocked off another achievement. Following that, we moved on to Kill Switch and an achievement for destroying a certain amount of helicopters. The person going for the achievement wants to be the sniper role because the first couple you can shoot down in a few rounds from that, and then you were given access to the Reaper missile system to clear out the last few whilst your partner is planting the EMP in the building. This was a super easy one, only taking 5 minutes. Vertigo came after that, and again has you destroying helicopters, the first of which are flying straight at you at the start of the level. I actually think you fail if you don't bring all these ones down anyway, and then the next few are those which bring the juggernauts in between the waves, so also easy to deal with, but the end is really a struggle. Once we drop down, there's already a couple of helicopters dropping off troops before quickly flying away, and as well as that, more fly in, all whilst you're being attacked by the enemies rushing the bridge. We tried this one for a bit, but decided it might be easier solo to do due to enemy densities and whatever, so I decided to leave it until later. The next achievements we decided to get were those for reaching wave 10 and 15 on each survival map. Like I said at the start of the video, I was only missing those unlocked at Spec Ops level 25, but I actually did 2 of the 4 of them forgetting to record, so I've just got footage for 2 of them going on here. And something I previously didn't have was that level obviously, but grinding through all the other achievements got me there comfortably. And the first map we tackled was Downturn, and like all the survival maps really, this was easy to get wave 15 on. We just set up in this back corner near the equipment armory and kept a couple of sentry turrets up to help cover us. Also buying explosives to thin the waves of enemies and help take down the juggernauts. We also picked up some armor every now and then just to help with survivability. But yeah, straightforward stuff really, and after about 20 minutes of playing it safe in this area, we cleared wave 15. The final survival map was Bakara, and just like before we found a nice back corner to set up in, using a turret on each side to back us up. The juggernauts actually rappel into this area right on top of you, but if you keep stocked up on C4 from the nearby armory, you can just nuke them as they land. So reaching wave 10 unlocked the Survivor achievement, and shortly after that came wave 15 and the Unstoppable achievement. So that was me done with survival, just for a little bit anyway. With those out the way, we went back to clearing up the mission specific Spec Ops achievements, and first up was Special Delivery, which I was missing 2 achievements from, using only 1 self-revive and using exactly 1 of each care package during the mission. So very easy to get together, they go hand in hand. A self-revive package automatically drops, so you just need to get your partner to drop in 1 sentry and 1 arsenal weapon. I don't think you actually even need to use them, but you just need to claim the packages, but I let myself get down just in case. And other than that, the same as veteran run, but obviously a lot easier on regular. Just still be patient, because there's a lot of juggernauts and they'll drop you quick. This took us about 10 minutes to reach the survivor and claim those 2 achievements. At this point, my friend abandoned me, so I went solo for the rest. Black Ice was up first to run over 13 people with the snowmobile, and this was super simple. Just take it slow and take out the clusters of foot soldiers that appear. You're able to turn around and go backwards, so after a little bit of manoeuvring, I got the achievement done and threw myself off the cliff in celebration. Next was Light 'em Up, and I didn't even know this mechanic was a thing, because when we did it co-op, I was just in the chopper circling above. But basically the chopper will shine a spotlight on enemies and temporarily stun them, and you get the achievement for stabbing 5 enemies in a row like this. So just follow the spotlight and try be quick, because they don't seem to stay stunned for very long. It is another easy one though overall, once you know what to do, and it popped first try for me. This next achievement may just be the most painful I did in the entire video. I went back to Negotiator to try clear it while saving every hostage, and it took a lot of patience. I spent a few runs just learning the position of everyone again, and muscle memory quickly took over with that, but it was just so easy to make a mistake on. I did have some pretty funny fails though, although I found them less funny at the time, I'm sure. The most testing moment was definitely reaching this last breach after about 25 minutes of attempts, and then accidentally shooting a hostage in the head. There was also the time I cleared out the courtyard and forgot to disarm the bomb, and plenty of other less than ideal moments. But after another 35 minutes or so of straight restarting on top of that, I reached this final room and, learning from past mistakes, shot the first enemy in the leg instead and finished it up. Seeing this achievement pop was a big relief, I will tell you that. I had 2 mission specific achievements left at this point, and both were for the mission Vertigo. There was killing all juggernauts after they land on veteran. Straightforward enough, because you can kite them around this box like I said, whilst blasting them with a light machine gun, or just shoot them a couple of times with a missile launcher. Or, if you get very lucky like me, destroy the helicopter just as the juggernaut hits the ground, and somehow it dies along with the helicopter. There are 3 juggernauts to deal with on solo veteran, so once I killed the 3rd, my achievement popped. The other achievement is trickier and requires you to shoot down all 16 helicopters in the mission. The first half is easy enough because they basically will just come one by one on this upper section, and it was once I parachuted down that I really struggled. This took me a few attempts, and yeah, it is easier on regular difficulty obviously, but you still need to deal with enemies attacking you from the bridge whilst you try to take down the choppers which fly in and out. It's quite easy to miss one. There is an ammo box to refill your missile launcher though, and invisible lines which seem to trigger when the helicopters will spawn. So I just took my time a bit once the initial few were taken down and picked off the last ones individually, popping my last achievement from the DLC packs and leaving me with just 2 achievements to go in the entire game. These last 2 were for buying everything from the air support armory and the much longer weapons armory. You don't need to buy all of the items in one game, so the best way to do these achievements is just have a list on a text document or something and just delete the items as you buy them. There's way too many to feasibly remember. So I hopped into some survival on the first map and started clearing the waves for money and then buying the missing items from the air support armory. And this is when I realised that this is going to take much longer than I anticipated, because after all the previous Spec Ops grinding and buying the items that I could from both armories, I was level 36. And in order to access all the items, you need to be level 50. I think in terms of the amount of XP, that was about halfway. But rather than get disheartened and gave up, I did exactly what any sane person and achievement hunter would do, loaded up true achievements and looked for an XP boosting method. And that is exactly what I found. By playing the Spec Ops Fire mission from the base game, I was able to give myself control of the AC-130, and my spare controller just sat doing nothing. The goal here is to shoot down the 2 trucks carrying troops on the left, then the 2 APCs on the right, and finally the helicopter that flies down from the top. Once you do that, you simply restart the mission and repeat. Yep, it's as tedious as it sounds, and your XP rates obviously depend on how fast you're going, and after a bit of practice and muscle memory, I started flying through. There's not much else to say about this other than you need to be able to grind, but luckily years of RuneScape gave me that skill, and it took about 2 hours solid of doing this and I finally hit level 50. With that out the way, I went back into survival, and after a couple of waves I had enough to purchase the remaining air support items and unlock the Danger Zone achievement. And now I just had 1 achievement left to finish Modern Warfare 3, and that was buying everything from the weapons armory, including all the attachments. Luckily, you just need to purchase each attachment once, but there are some that are weapon specific, like only the AK-47 can have a certain grenade launcher. So like I said, the way to go is definitely write a list and just cross off as you go. So after lots of killing and checking off my list, I came to my final weapon, the last LMG. I bought it and no achievement. Unfortunately, I actually suspected this might happen, and I'll tell you why. When I was looking online for methods to boost XP and rank up quickly, I came across comments regarding this achievement not unlocking for people, and buried within those were a couple of replies about how if you buy multiple weapons without closing the armory interface between, then it will only count the last item you buy. So I copy and pasted the full list once more and started again. I wasn't going to be defeated on the final achievement. After about 40 minutes of clearing enemies and buying items, I reached my last 2 snipers, so at the end of this wave I eagerly ran over to buy those and still no achievement. I'll be honest with you, at this point I started to feel a bit demoralised, but I still refused to give up, so I decided to go through the list for pretty much a 3rd time in one sitting. I spent a bit of time racking my brain and buying the odd thing, but nothing was the missing one, so I started once more from the top. And on the very first pistol I bought, this happened. I was finally done. Obviously, I'd just forgotten to buy the pistol that you unlock last, but at this point, I didn't care about any of that. I was just happy to get my last achievement. This completion meant I was done with the Xbox 360 era Modern Warfare trilogy, and what an amazing set of games they are. I have great memories playing COD 4 when I first bought my Xbox and playing online on the Wetwork map. I just couldn't get over how I was playing against other people around the world. And then Modern Warfare 2 came out when I was in 6th form, and I remember rushing home to play it, but having to stop to go back to school for life drawing class. And Modern Warfare 3, like I mentioned at the start, I played the least, but I still think it holds up really well. Like, it actually feels really, really nice to play to this day. It's hard to say which is my favourite, but just for the amount of time I spent on them and all the friends I have playing in those days, I would rank Modern Warfare 2 first, and then Call of Duty 4, and then Modern Warfare 3. But they're all amazing in my opinion, and it's quite close. So you guys let me know which is your favourite in the comments. And anyway, thanks a lot for watching and hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.